This is going to be a simple video on the Ten Commandments. So, I'm going to start at Deuteronomy chapter 5. I'm just going to read. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep them and do them. Jehovah our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. I'm going to stop there real quick. So a lot of people, most people, in the faith or claim to be in the faith will tell you that these commandments were given at Sinai. Which is true. Moses went up the mountain and received these commandments, the physical tablets, with the commandments written by the finger of Jehovah himself. They weren't written by Moses. But he went up there and received the physical tablets. But if you go and actually study diligently and pay attention to what you're reading, you're going to see that they were given verbally before Moses went to Sinai. It's Exodus 20. When the congregation was assembled there, Jehovah descended onto Sinai in a cloud of flaming fire and spoke these words to Moses and the whole congregation that was at Horeb. Verbally said, Obey my voice, keep my commandments. So they went and they agreed, right? They said, All that you have said we will do. Jehovah said, They have spoken well. So they were agreed to, they were in place, they were set in place, and were to be followed. So you got to pay attention, because you're supposed to rightly divide the word. Study to show yourself approved, a workman. So you need not be ashamed. So you know these things. So you can rebuke, reprove, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. You need to understand doctrine. Yah's doctrine, which is not our own. Even the Messiah said it wasn't his own, but it was his Father's. So pay attention. You can't just go sit in a church and listen to somebody tell you what's what, and not, you're told to test the spirits. A lot of people don't do that. They just parrot what they learned on a Sunday morning from a guy that doesn't teach people to keep the commandments like he was told to do. And those that lead into captivity will go into captivity. It's written. Alright, so back at verse 2. Jehovah our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. Jehovah made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day. Jehovah talked with you face to face in the mount out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Jehovah and you at that time to show you the word of Jehovah. For ye were afraid by reason of the fire, and went not up into the mount, saying, I am Jehovah thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Not this Jesus guy, who y'all call God, which is not his name. It's Yeshua, which is Joshua in English. Who do you know that has two names in English that mean the same thing? Nobody. So you have a choice between two messiahs, right? Verse 8, thou shalt not make thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters beneath the earth. No graven image. No pictures of Baal. No wooden crosses or stone images. No fish symbols that Christianity likes to use, which would be something that is in the waters, right? Beneath the earth. Which is actually a symbol for Dagon and the priest of Dagon. If you notice the papacy, the Pope and his minions and whatnot, they wear these fish-shaped hats, and it goes all the way back to Dagon. Verse 9, thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Jehovah thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So to hate him is to break his commandments. And those that love him will keep his commandments. Verse 11, thou shalt not take the name of Jehovah thy God in vain, for Jehovah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. The church does this all the time by saying that they represent God or that they follow God, but they do not the things that he says. Verse 4, Commandment 4, verse 12. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as Jehovah thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Jehovah thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughters, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou. The church doesn't keep this. The Jews don't keep this either. They do evening to evening, separating 2 days and calling it the Sabbath. They polluted it, and the church does the venerable day of the sun, their own tradition that was passed down from the great whore. Constantine changed this, try to change this, no authority to do so, and was it March 7th, 321 AD. So that you're following traditions of men, commandments of men, and teaching them for doctrine. Big no. And you do, your manual labor, you do your job, you get paid, you're not supposed to do that. And then you go and buy things from people that are breaking the Sabbath, and you become partaker of their sins, as well as sin yourself. It's okay to do good on the Sabbath, which is an idiom for doing well, which is loving your neighbor as yourself. The royal law, James 2:8-9. It's lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Do well. Do the work Jehovah ordained, which you don't get paid for. You get paid in bringing people to the kingdom. This is payment in my eyes, like what better what better reward than to bring people into the kingdom to know Yah, which is what the Messiah did. I can't tell you how many people I talked to, and they're like, "Oh, the Messiah broke the Sabbath." No, you just don't understand the Scripture. If the Messiah had broken the Sabbath, then he would have broken one of his Father's commandments, which would make him a sinner, which would have made him unworthy to reconcile us back to the Father. He was sinless. Verse 16. Honor thy father and thy mother, as Jehovah thy God hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which Jehovah thy God giveth thee. This means to teach people the commandments. This is basically the two great commandments in one. If you honor your mother and your father, you're going to keep the commandments, and you're going to teach other people to do so. Verse 17. Thou shalt not kill, neither shalt thou commit adultery, neither shalt thou steal, neither shalt thou bear false witness against thy neighbor, neither shalt thou desire thy neighbor's wife, neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, his ox, his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's. Idolatry is covetousness. These words Jehovah spake unto all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, of the thick darkness, with a great voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tablets of stone, and delivered them unto me. Okay, it says he added no more. But we all know that, if you keep reading, that he does add more. Why does he add more? He adds more because they broke them. So he gave them a punishment. Moses stood between them and pleaded for their lives because he loved them. Okay, so Moses didn't. The church says that the commandments weren't given until Sinai. But if that was the case, then how, while Moses was up on the mountain speaking with Jehovah, before he came down with the tablets, if they weren't in place already, they couldn't have broke them. It's just proof that they were already in place, and that they were given at Horeb before they went to Sinai.